Hi guys, before I start I just want to show you all the beautiful crops that are... Look at that, gets me excited. It's the little things in life that make you happy. The tash is getting some length. My mum was saying she can twirl it now. Getting some much needed steps in. Keep this weight loss journey going. I'll weigh myself on Monday and hopefully I'll have gotten down a little bit more. We shall see. But this is one I didn't really know what I was going to do for it. I didn't know what I was going to title it. But I think I've finally come up with one. And it's called Family Dynamics. Before I get into that, got another view here that I want to show. Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. Look at that field. Been watching a lot of Clarkson's farm as well, so while their crops might not be yielding, at least the ones here are in the southeast of Ireland, just across the water. But yeah, the title for this will be Family Dynamics, and what do I mean by that? It's kind of like how your family shapes you, you know. And I understand a lot of times, believe me, I look back and I think, am I blaming my family for everything that's happened to me? Because I do love them, you know. It's actually not easy for me to do that. I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to, you know, blame. So rather than blaming, what I'm thinking is acknowledge, you know, what happened wasn't right, and it is helping me. It's helping me heal. And empathising as well, you know. Acknowledge that my mum and my dad didn't have easy lives themselves, you know, because that way I can say, well look, they might not have acted well, but there are reasons for it. Now how do we move on from this, you know what I mean? How do I be better, do you know? How do I be a better person? Like, what do I see about them that I don't like, that I want to change? And then how can I do that? What don't I like about myself? There's no use saying it about everybody else. What do I want to change? Because there's no point in going, oh, they did this to me and they made this fuck up, and but what can I actually do, you know? So like, some people will have different family dynamics, like, you know, some people will have a close-knit family, others not so much. Some people in their family, like, they'll be going out all the time but they won't talk about meaningful stuff. It's like, how'd you even put this? Like, one sec, there's just loads of cars, it's just too loud. So, do you know how in some families there'll be a lot of very macho men and quick to temper, but you know, not very in touch with their feelings, quite masculine, but they don't know how to talk about feelings. I always do the hands, feelings. They're not good at being sensitive. They're ashamed of opening up about stuff that happened to them. But in fairness, I'll cut people like that slack if, you know, they are brave and courageous, you know, like they look after their family and they defend them. Then I'm kind of like, look, you've earned the right. I understand why you know, you might have some deficits in other areas. That's fair enough. You're able to protect people. You're able to be very masculine, but you're not the most sensitive. But like, maybe the mother is good at that. That's typically the way, isn't it? Sorry again, Markers. Best example I can think of is like across the water again, across the Atlantic. You know, dads who fought in Vietnam and the Korean War, they wouldn't be the most sensitive because that didn't serve them. They served their country, but the country also didn't serve them. More crops here that I... Look at that. So nice. Look at that. That yield. Ooh, it's really nice. Just take a moment here. Look at that. Ooh. Admiring this field. Little things in life. But yeah, if you had to be tough and macho, fair enough. The sensitive stuff might not come very easily to you. In Ireland, I think, I don't even know how I would relate that, because a lot of people are very bad dads. Like the stereotypical Irish dad wouldn't be very warm, he'd be quite cold, you know. They usually do a manual job. They're quite miserable fuckers. They drink at the weekend. They don't want to be bothered. Always asking you if you need a few bob. And like my dad would have been quite good with that, you know. You alright for a few bob? Do you need money? Very rarely did I ask, but if I did, in fairness, he'd always give it. That's what he said. He was like, ah, you don't ask for anything, so in fairness. So in that sense, you know, we had a good relationship, yeah. And we'd have a good laugh, you know. And, just want to show you a better view of the farms. It's so cool, I love it. Move the gate back, but look at that. Ooh. Look at that. Bit bare over there. Just makes me happy, so I'll share a bit of it with you. But yeah, like my dad wouldn't be great at committing to stuff, you know. Left twice, then divorced, you know. Divorced, beheaded and died, which is hard, you know. And as I said before in previous videos, I empathise because my granddad's not a very pleasant man, and I lived with him, so I got to see that firsthand. This is when he supposedly softened up. But he's not going to change for anyone, sadly. I thought he had, but I got a cruel reminder that he hadn't. So, it is what it is. I thought we were getting somewhere, and finally we were communicating. He was never very pleasant when I was there. Didn't offer much advice. So, I'd say I didn't really get much off him. Money at birthdays, that's about it. Yeah, apart from that, not much else. I mean, money's always nice, but in terms of actual life advice, nothing really, you know. Yeah, and he always made an issue with me and my brother having weight on, which is, you know, again, makes you feel very welcome. Didn't make us feel very good about ourselves. And we didn't. That's a weird thing with my dad's side of the family, I think, that I noticed. There was never any warmth, you know. It was always, you don't bother getting our kids anything and we won't bother getting your kids anything for Christmas or birthdays. Like his brother, my uncle, you know, literally lived 5 minutes up the road and we never saw him at all. And this was kind of made out to be normal. They just didn't want to make any effort. That was pretty much it. We won't make any effort with you and you don't have to make any effort with us. Grand. Which shows that neither of them wanted to make the effort. And I thought, oh yeah, sure, that's normal, but it's not. It's a real, you know, you do your thing, we'll do ours. Couldn't give a shit about you. Basically, don't bother me. I'm just gonna pause it and I'll put it back on in a sec. You know, it's getting back to what I was talking about. Family should want to look after each other, and they never did. It was a case of comparing my kids to your kids and why mine are better, you know. We didn't really know our cousins. The only time I really met my cousins was serving them. I was working in different jobs. They'd come in and I'd say, oh, hello, but I tried making an effort. Because I thought, oh, well, it's not their fault if I don't make any effort, but it wasn't reciprocated at all, so they never bothered their arse. And I soon realised they were never going to make an effort to get to know me. It's kind of shit, you know, because when you're all together, all those cousins there and that side of the family and all that side of the family were quite lean, you know, they didn't have much weight on. So, and in fairness, my brother had this even worse than I did. I only found out by talking to him. But there was always, you know, an issue made of us having weight on. Like we were somehow less. We do more for anyone than they would. And now I'm only starting to see the value in that. But you think less of yourself just because of the way you look, which is bullshit, but when you're a kid, their opinion means everything. And I think that plays into a lot nowadays with me. Like, no matter how well I played, and I talked about this before, but I talked about it a lot before, rehashing the whole thing, but in a different way. In a way that hopefully you can learn from. But no matter how well I played in a game, be it football, rugby, Gaelic football, I'd only ever be critiqued. I'd never get any praise, you know, didn't matter how well I played. So you never really, like, it can be good because you want to always improve, but it just made me feel shit about myself. It made me desperate to get better, and it worked. It definitely worked, but it also meant that I noticed every mistake, and I still beat myself up about mistakes I made. Because it's like, oh, you gobshite, you shouldn't have done that, or... And I was so desperate to make my dad happy, and it really frustrated me when he'd give out to me during a game, because I was, you know, I'm autistic and I've got anxiety, so I'm quite nervous before games, and my coordination, my balance wouldn't be great, so I'd struggle to get good. Basically, things wouldn't come to me as naturally as it would for other kids. But God knows I fucking tried. That's the thing I always had, and I noticed that I put in a lot more work than a lot of people. And I can safely say that now, because I know I did. They didn't train as hard as I did. I'd be in the gym before everybody else, and first in, last out, as they say. But I learned that it's not the fairy tale that everybody makes it out to be. You can put in a lot of the work for no reward. But I think that's where it all stems from, is trying to find that connection with my dad, you know. And he wouldn't be the type to defend you, you know. You feel like you have to look after yourself because nobody else is going to do it for you. Which again, that can be a good thing because you're not reliant on others, but you also have to develop loyalty because nobody's going to be loyal to you, is what you think. So you start to, and I was talking to my brother about this and we had a good discussion, you know, because he's had to tell me, I don't want you fixing my problems, I want to deal with them myself. And I'm kind of there thinking, well, what the fuck do I do? I feel like I was terrible when I was younger and I didn't do anything for you. He's like, I never expected you to, and I didn't want you to. He kind of wanted his own separate thing. And that's the thing, you know. You throw in a weird family dynamic on top of autism, and you get one seriously fucking messed up child. Yours truly. Man child. But that's what sport was, you know. It was me trying to impress my dad or make him happy, and it never worked. It never will work. And while it still is painful to a degree, but I can accept it a lot more now when I'm thinking about what I want. Especially though when you're going in and like that, your coordination is off, you're clumsy, you're awkward. You stand out even more, and then people rip into you. And I pushed through, I didn't give up. But it leaves you with some scars afterwards. Some literal scars. From playing sport. Which I always saw as a badge of honour anyway. But yeah, I didn't learn. And I mean, I talked about my dad literally being confused when I said, your mates should have your back. He said, what do you mean, have your back? I was like, well, that proves how you do in a fight, you know. You'd obviously just run a mile. Got a few waves so far. But yeah, so if shit ever hit the fan, that was kind of my dad's response. As long as it doesn't come back on me, I don't care. Then he sees you after getting into a fight and it's, oh, what are you doing? He hits you and off you go. But there was never a sense of, I would fight to the death for you. We're getting a bit gladiatorial now, I know. But it's nice to have that security, you know. You do anything to me, my dad will kill you, or my brother will kill you, my cousin will. And I didn't have any of that. And that's bad enough. It's not a woe was me thing, it's saying why I am the way I am. Seriously fucked up. And we all are, but it's why I, man. It's why my selection in friends hasn't been great, because my self-worth was non-existent. I'm lucky to have anyone, you know. I'm so worthless that I'm lucky if anyone would want to be my friend, you know. Which is how I felt for a long, long time. And it's fucking shit. It's very shit, let me tell you. So that's my dad anyway, and all his messed up family dynamic. And then looking at my mum, it's weird talking to her because I'm only going off her word from it, and my aunties and my uncle and my dad actually. about my granddad, my maternal granddad, and everyone loved him. Everyone. My dad, who never has a good word to say about anyone. Believe me, you know, he always finds a way to badmouth people, but he said he loved my maternal granddad, Peter. God rest his soul. He said he loved him like a father, more so than his own father. So that'll teach you something. That might sound harsh, but he's justified in saying that. Definitely. The way he was treated, like fucking flies everywhere. But it's the reason why my brother and me were looked down upon so much, because we're his sons and he was seen as the dud of the family, which is very nice, you know. But just to give you an idea of how my mum's dad was, God, I wish I could have gotten to know him. I feel like I seriously missed out because I didn't get to know him. You know, so I feel like I need a lot of guidance and I didn't get any. But he kept it together for everybody else, and I think that can mean you're not able to cope with stuff. So in that way, I'm kind of like, if I didn't just have to jump in the deep end like I have had to do, how many life skills would I have that I have now currently, you know? But it leads to trauma, it really does. Because you don't back yourself, you know, you don't believe in yourself. You don't trust your way of doing things. You think everybody else is right and you're wrong. Then you get frustrated and pissed off and go, no, I'm not always wrong. These people are talking bullshit. But they all have each other's backs, you know, I'm the odd one out here. I'm always the outsider looking in. It's very fucking lonely. And it's isolating. Not for lack of trying. It's what pisses me off about the whole thing of high functioning autism, because everybody said I was the worst case they'd ever seen, and now all of a sudden there's nothing wrong with me. Well, pick one or the fucking other. No, it's because I've got empathy and I could see how much it was hurting everybody. So I realised I had to get better. And in doing that, I forgot a lot about myself. My mum's family, you know, they lost a sibling, like my auntie Kathy, who, God rest her soul as well, when she was 18. She was the oldest in the family. Never got to meet her. She died well before I was born. And I mean, that seriously fucked them all up, you know. Of course it would. It seems like they never dealt with it properly. They never grieved properly. It seems, from speaking to everybody, that split them up. It splintered them off, you know. They all seem messed up from it. And I mean, it's understandable. It really is. But my mum has a very idealistic approach to everything, you know. She says she's a realist but likes to live in fantasy world when it suits her. She's never liked any of my friends. She's always found an issue with them somehow. Never seemed to find an issue with my brother's friends. And then from me talking to him, I was like, those fuckers are taking advantage of you, you know. Shouldn't let them treat you like that. Cocky little fuckers, you know, putting them down at their own. Make themselves look good. And then I get it does sound a bit woe is me, but I had a few friends who I got on well with, and were they bad eggs? Not necessarily, you know, they came from broken families, and when she stopped allowing me to hang out with them, I noticed that everybody started treating me differently. I didn't have that tight bond, you know, those friendships that I once had. We kind of start butting heads after that. She was always like, oh, there has to be normal people out there. And I was like, no, there isn't. But look at this anyway. Look at this. Yes, class. Like my friends on the road who, look, to be fair, they're not very loyal. From my estate growing up, they wouldn't have my back if push came to shove. So family and friends not having your back, that's quite a lonely place to be. But then my friends in college who I studied with and I got on well with. It's good to have people you can study with. Because I wouldn't have gotten through college without them, but then we've kind of gone our own separate ways. And partially my fault as well, you know. I've had a few incidents that have caused that. But you'd say they're messed up, and I kind of think, well, me and my brother, we're messed up. We are, you know. So who are we to look down on anybody else? At the same time, you've got to look after yourself. And I've often been told that, because I worry about everyone else. I'm sure I can be a sarcastic and past remarkable prick, but I feel like people take me out of context a lot. My own family included. Especially them, you know. They'll say stuff but then pick their times to be very sensitive. But my mum has even said herself she hates conflict and confrontation, and she's very bad at dealing with it. She just screams, roars, grits her teeth at me and my brother, usually me when we were younger, because I was the one in trouble. She didn't deal with it very well though, you know. And it led to me feeling like I was always in the wrong or always causing trouble. No matter what happened, there would always be, oh, what did you do? Were you starting that? Or it's like, no. There's always the assumption. Like, she talk about people putting me and my brother down, a friend group that she had before, so we used to play with their kids because they were the same age as us. And years later she talked about how, you know, those friends put her down, but when we were out playing with the kids, you know, and we were all out playing football, rugby, and the older kids were roughing us up, and you know, I kind of fought back. But it wasn't me that started it. But it was kind of made out, oh, you know, my mum even said, oh, did you do that? Did you start that? She didn't stick up for me. She said to me, what, did you start that? What are you doing? Very cowardly, you know, and she'll say she backed me up or called herself the mama bear and mammy tiger or whatever. But from what I got to see, I was getting in trouble no matter what I did. If you can't fight, you have to flight, you have to run, freeze or appease. So if my mum or dad were angry, well, I wasn't getting out of that. So I just froze, or I tried to make them happy. Like, what pisses me off is how quick she was to take her temper out on me or my brother. You know, it was like she got some fella in to install a dishwasher and he did it arseways and it started leaking. And this is when we were quite young. And I just stood there because she was angry. Like, what the fuck do I do here? And she screamed at me, what are you fucking standing there for? And she hit me and I was like, well, I didn't fucking do anything. You know? And then sometimes I just get so tense, so angry. So you can't do right for doing fucking wrong. But then at the same time, blaming me for, like, literally saying you're trying to kill me because I got up in the night for a piss before work. She comes down and I'd literally just put on the dishwasher after cleaning the dishes. I bought her a nice gift for her birthday and I'd taken her out for dinner. But oh no, the negative thing is what's noticed first. And then she even said, it's very easy for you to buy me something, but it's like, so getting up in the night to take a piss and waking you up, that undoes all the good things I've done. Got it. And so how does that translate, you know? So you look at both sides. Well, it makes a kid who doesn't know what's right and what's wrong. If I lash out, I'm the worst in the world, and if I just take abuse, then I'm a pussy, I'm a coward. So I did the best with what I could, you know. Tried using my words. What little good they did. Just checking the battery there, it's nearly out, so I'll wrap it up now soon. But I went into survival mode is what I'm getting at. You know, I didn't have any fucking confidence. I was an anxious wreck. I still fucking am, but I've had to just deal with it. I still get anxious just walking around the gory main street. I know it. I know it well now, and I know that not everyone's out to get me, and yet I still just feel an overwhelming sense of anxiety, which I can't shake. Doesn't matter what I fucking do. And look, it might just be with me for life and I'll have to learn to deal with it. What I'm saying, and the point I'm making is, don't blame yourself if there was a fucked up family dynamic. If you had to do a lot of appeasing and people pleasing, if people didn't defend you when they should have done, that's not your fault and you shouldn't feel guilty for that. It's on your family members and the ones who should have looked out for you. You know? Families fuck you up, as they say. But anyway, guys, that's just a thing on family dynamics. And we'll wrap it up there because the phone's about to die. See you in the next one.